Good morning. I'd like to welcome the representatives of the Finger Lakes, make sure that I'm correct, of the Finger Lakes Regional Economic Development. It's a thrill to see Mr. Bob Duffy. I'm in your shoes, almost, traveling the state. I'm actually having a great time, so we're happy to be here today. The panel is looking forward to hearing your presentations and to asking questions. I want to introduce my colleagues on the SIAT. We have with us today Roanne Destito, a commissioner of OGS, who actually was at the first SIAT, so she's the one who trained us all. Senior, we are a senior member. We have Brian Stratton, Director of Canals of the New York State Canal Corporation, who's joined us this year, and we have Roberta Reardon, Commissioner, Department of Labor, who actually knows a lot about Rochester and has done more traveling than me, actually. But we're excited to be here. Make sure I didn't leave anybody out. Okay. I'm Rosanna Rosado, the New York Secretary of State, and I have the privilege of chairing the SIAT, and I'm really happy that we made the decision to travel this year to you as opposed to having you come to meeting room 6 because we get to see all the projects. I know you tried to arrange for better weather, but we're good. I want to remind you that you have 30 minutes for your presentation, and then we'll do 30 minutes of a Q&A, and I'm excited to hear from you. So let's get started, and please introduce yourselves.
Absolutely. So I'm Ann Kress. I'm the president of Monroe Community College, and I am co-chair of the Regional Economic Development Council. My co-chair is sitting next to me, for who needs probably no introduction, former Lieutenant Governor Bob Duffy, who also serves as the president and CEO of the Greater Rochester Chamber of Commerce, City of Rochester Mayor Lovely Warren, Bill Strasberg, Vice President, Wegmans Food Markets, Jason Molina, Batavia's City Manager, and Vinny Esposito, who is our remarkable Executive Director for Empire State Development. So this will be the presenting panel for you today. I also just want to note for the record that I do sit as a trustee of the New York Power Authority, and so the Power Authority was very happy to welcome the Canal Corp to our family. So you are in our new downtown campus, and so we are excited to have you here at MCC. What you're seeing is a facility that was built with funds from SUNY and New York State and Monroe County. It is a $78 million facility. I also want to note with pride that we partnered with the Dormitory Authority of the State of New York in all of the furnishings and fixtures and equipment that you see, and that partnership, in fact, saved the college more than $2 million that we were then able to reinvest in this project. We are in the eco district. We have green roofs on this facility that are teaching tools, but also energy savers. We also are in a campus that is a majority minority campus. The majority of students here are first generation college, low income. So their opportunity to study, to transfer to university, to earn a short-term certificate, to connect to the corporate college for advancement in work is critical. So the other thing I will just note about this facility is this year, for the very first time, we have high school students on campus. We are hosting Rochester City School District's Early College High School. 150 juniors and seniors are effectively college students here on this campus this year, and they are excited to be here and see the opportunity in front of them, opportunity that's key to our entire region. So I hope all of you are very familiar with our plan. As you'll recall, the Finger Lakes Forward Plan is based on 3 industry pillars: optics, photonics, and imaging, agriculture and food technology, and next generation manufacturing and technology. And these are supported by 3 core enablers: pathways to prosperity and workforce development, entrepreneurship, a hallmark of our region, and higher ed and research, and the central foundation of the quality of life in the Finger Lakes region. This past year, we have executed on this plan, and our results will show you that the Finger Lakes is indeed moving forward. Over the past 5 years, both overall employment and job growth have improved. This is despite, I'm looking to my clicker, oh, there you go. This is despite a continued slowdown in manufacturing. The strength of these numbers represents something that we have found to be significant in our work, which is increasing the economic diversity of the Finger Lakes. This diversity is essential to our plan, but it's also essential to the economic health of our region and our residents. The Finger Lakes continues to invest state funding wisely and effectively across our region and across all sectors and supports. An outstanding 94% of projects are completed or on schedule, and the completion rate of our priority projects has more than doubled from 15 to 37%. We appreciate the value of the state's investment, and we are making the most of it. The Finger Lakes region has used state investment to drive private dollars. In all years but one, our region has exceeded the state's goal of a 5-to-1 for private to public investment. And in the most recent round, that leverage was an amazing 15-to-1. It is clear that in the Finger Lakes, the governor's strategy of investing public dollars to attract private investment is working. It is testimony to the quality of our region's plan and the momentum that we're seeing in the local economy. This combination of state investment and private leverage is adding up to real change in our region. Well over 13,000 jobs have resulted from the first 5 years of these projects, creating true pathways to prosperity for our region's residents. But what our progress also tells us is not only are we attracting new businesses, but we are encouraging existing businesses to stay. They see that the future is bright, and they want to help us grow. As our growth continues to accelerate, we're especially grateful for the state's investment in the Greater Rochester International Airport Transformational Plan. This will help all of our industries grow. It will also support tourism. The governor's investment in essential infrastructure is supporting this growth. Our region continues to look forward to a brighter future thanks to strategic investment. And now my co-chair, Bob Duffy, will update you on the progress through several industry pillars.
Thank you, Ann. First of all, Madam Secretary, I want to welcome you and the commissioners today, and thank you very much for making the trip here and also for your service to the state. Also, before I start, I want to recognize and thank Danny Wegman, the CEO of Wegmans Food Markets, who I recently replaced. He is irreplaceable, and I want to recognize his great efforts for 7 years co-chairing this panel. So for purposes of time, I'm going to read my remarks, which I don't normally like to do, but today I'll be discussing 2 of the Finger Lakes Regional Economic Development Council's Finger Lakes Forward industry pillars: optics, photonics, and imaging, and next generation manufacturing and technology. Already known as the imaging capital of the world, Rochester is well on its way to becoming the optics, photonics, and imaging capital of the world. We are continuing to strengthen our global leadership position in precision optics, integrated photonics, lasers, and displays. In the Finger Lakes region, 18,000 people work in the optics, photonics, and imaging sector. A great deal of the credit goes to highly successful OPI academic programs at the University of Rochester, RIT, and Monroe Community College. The U of R's Institute of Optics awards approximately 50% of all optics degrees across our country, which I think is phenomenal. Our designation as headquarters for the American Institute for Manufacturing Integrated Photonics, or AIM Photonics, has brought with it a total investment of $610 million, including a $250 million commitment from New York State. The public-private consortium has more than 80 corporate, government, and academic members. We expect the test, assembly, and packaging facility to become operational just down the road here on Lake Avenue early next year, 2018. The cutting-edge work of this only one-of-its-kind facility in the world will make Rochester the center of packaging for the wafer and semiconductor industry. We expect AIM Photonics to draw the attention of industry leaders and bring more investment, innovation, and job opportunities to our region in the future. An example of this is Precision Optical Transceivers, which chose to expand its operations into Eastman Business Park, given the proximity to the AIM Photonics facility. The company plans to add 30 positions over the next 2 years. This is proof that the AIM Photonics initiative and its TAP facility, along with our region's highly skilled workforce, are already creating a powerful reason for innovative companies to locate and prosper in this community. In July, Governor Cuomo announced Illuminate New York, the world's largest accelerator for OPI startups, funded with $10 million from the Upstate Revitalization Initiative and administered by High Tech Rochester. Illuminate New York finalists will be announced later this year. A number of other industries, including life sciences and data science, are enabled by optics, photonics, and imaging technology. The Rochester Data Science Consortium, a collaboration between the University of Rochester and Harris Corporation, is funded through $22.5 million in state support and $20 million from the Wegmans Family Charitable Foundation. The rapidly growing field of data science builds off our region's strengths and furthers our position as a global leader in both innovation and technology. Moving on to next generation manufacturing and technology, which focuses on 3 initiatives: the Downtown Innovation Zone, STAMP, Science and Technology Advanced Manufacturing Park, and Eastman Business Park. You'll hear from Mayor Warren shortly about our downtown revitalization and learn more about downtown innovation zones during our tour later today at RIT's Q Center. The Science and Technology Advanced Manufacturing Park, also known as STAMP, is a 1,250-acre site in Genesee County destined to help transform both the Rochester and Buffalo economies. The site, designed for nanotech-oriented manufacturing, advanced manufacturing, and large-scale biomanufacturing projects, will move our region forward as a leader in innovative cutting-edge technology. Construction is underway to have the site ready to build by the end of the year. Location provides companies with access to a labor pool of 1.2 million people, low-cost hydroelectric power, and economic connectivity to 57 colleges and universities with over 300,000 students. With the potential to create thousands of jobs at STAMP over the next 10 years, a workforce development pathway is necessary to ensure this highly skilled workforce is available. A number of stakeholders from different Finger Lakes regional economic development work teams are developing STEM to STAMP, which will create a pipeline of workforce-ready technicians. Eastman Business Park, our central priority when Finger Lakes Regional Economic Development Council first began, is thriving with over 100 companies now calling the park home. The 1,200-acre campus has undergone an incredible transformation. The unique infrastructure of the park is competitive advantage for its tenants, including companies specializing in energy storage, chemical manufacturing, roll-to-roll manufacturing, and photonics. We have a short video, but before I start, I just would add Eastman Business Park, if you've not been there, is the largest industrial park of its nature in the entire country. Governor Cuomo did make a personal visit a few years back. I went through, and I think it's one thing to hear about, another thing to actually see it, the enormous size and potential it has for our region. And I want to commend this council and Danny Wegman and Joel Seligman before for their focus on Eastman Business Park, which has really been a great part of our transformation. So next we'll turn over a short video to show you out the park.
We have put a master plan together for Eastman Business Park to create a work, live, learn, and play environment. And what's really exciting is we've now turned that into an execution mode, and it's in full swing. Kodak and the Finger Lakes Regional Economic Development Council have a shared vision for Eastman Business Park as a place to innovate, manufacture, learn, and play. The assets of the park make it ideal for these things. A city in a city where over 100 companies produce an estimated $4 billion in value. Since 2011, a number of companies operating at Eastman Business Park have grown 20% per year. And the number of non-Kodak jobs in the park has almost doubled. The new AIM Photonics tap facility has a new home at Eastman Business Park in the former Kodak building that's now owned by ON Semiconductor. It will be the epicenter for AIM Photonics in New York State and foster much new development in the region. AIM Photonics has already attracted Precision Optical Transceiver, which is a photonics-related business located in the park. Clearwater Organic Farms, a controlled environment agriculture operation, will produce greens for Ledestri Food and Drink and Wegmans. DuPont is expanding their probiotic operations. Kodak, with New York Best, recently opened its cell assembly center. Now energy storage companies can go from development to commercialization, doubling the speed to market and cutting costs in half, the only one of its kind in the U.S. Red Rochester's new gas boiler house will replace coal with positive environmental impact and greater efficiency. Thanks to the Finger Lakes Regional Economic Development Council in New York State, Kodak is working to create a better environment. Theater on the Ridge, once a place for recreation for Kodak employees, is now a public building. Renamed Kodak Center, a new marquee was added, and Kodak hired the world's largest entertainment company, SNG, to attract national caliber acts. Next year, we will add an experience center covering the past, present, and future of Kodak. We've put a lot of emphasis on the working piece. What you'll see coming in the future is more about the live, learn, and play aspects of the park. Middle school students will flock to Eastman Business Park's new Junior Achievement Experience Center to learn more about personal finance and business. The Finger Lakes Forward Workforce Development Center will move adjacent to Junior Achievement in the Kodak Center and will turn out a much-needed skilled workforce to support further growth. To develop out the live aspect of the park, we are revitalizing a parking lot into a modern community with residential housing, retail, and a relaxing component. It will also have close public transportation and be walking distance to the Kodak Center. This community will be called Eastman Reserve, and it will include 300 housing units, and construction will start in 2018 with residents moving in 2019. We have big plans to transform along Lake Avenue and Eastman Avenue. Picture a bustling area full of advanced manufacturing sites, offices, hotels, and restaurants, and more living space, all within 3 miles of the city center and 4 miles to Lake Ontario. With the support of the Finger Lakes Regional Economic Development Council and New York State, we have achieved a lot, but have so much more opportunity. Thank you for your continued support for our shared vision of work, live, learn, and play at Eastman Business Park.
So next we will turn it over to Mayor Warren, but I'll just note that last night that Kodak Center Theater attracted 1,900 from as far away as Ottawa, Canada, to a presentation by young adult author Rick Riordan. So it is in work, and it is working.
Good morning and welcome to the City of Rochester. As Dr. Kress mentioned, we are excited to have you here at MCC's downtown campus, which is a sign of the resurgence of our city and a result of our collective investment in Rochester. We are on the outskirts of our downtown, which has seen an unprecedented revitalization in recent years. I am sure you will drive by the progress taking place on Main Street and maybe even get stuck in traffic for once in Rochester. Just a couple weeks ago, the Hyatt Regency reopened after an $18 million investment. High-Tech Rochester has occupied the top floor of the Sibley Building and is bolstering our downtown innovation zone. And companies like Datto and CGI are expanding operations in our downtown. Tower 280, Windstream, the Metropolitan, 88 Elm Street, the Alliance Building, and the Hilton Garden Inn are all at the core of our city's progress, and they're helping reignite our downtown. And many of these projects could not have been completed without the support of Governor Cuomo and the state of New York, and so we thank you. But we are not done. The state's $55 million investment in the demolition of Midtown under the Duffy administration left a hole of opportunity and promise in the middle of our downtown. And Rochester's Broadway Theater League is combining with Morgan Management to build a performing arts center and housing project and retail in the middle of our center city. The investment in Rochester extends far beyond our downtown. Just on its boundary, the recently torn down and filled-in Interloop, a number of projects are moving forward with the help from the state, including multiple housing projects with a significant number of affordable units and an expansion of the Strong Museum of Play. Our neighborhoods are also seeing an unprecedented growth. The eastern portion of Main Street is seeing housing development for the first time in many decades. Hudson Avenue, which has traditionally been one of our most distressed and challenged communities, is now seeing new homes is the new home to our firefighters union and the future home to an affordable housing project, the first housing project to come to Hudson Avenue in over 30 years. And we recently finished a $10 million expansion of the Rochester Public Market. The state's investment helped us add more than 60 new vending spots in the market, which led to more jobs for some of our most vulnerable citizens. These investments are happening in lockstep with the Rochester Monroe Anti-Poverty Initiative, which is convening key community leaders toward the goal of reducing poverty in our region by 50% over the next 15 years. A number of the City of Rochester programs and community programs are endorsed and supported by our MAPI. And more importantly, we are addressing the systems and structural inequalities that create and contribute to poverty. The city is partnering with public and private sectors to develop our workforce, foster entrepreneurship, and create jobs with a focus on our most challenged communities and people. And we are creating a more vibrant city with better educational opportunities for all of our children. The Finger Lakes Regional Economic Development Council support for our city has been critical to this growth, and I'm happy to answer any questions you may have at the end of our presentation about what we're doing here in the City of Rochester.
And Bill Strasberg will address agriculture and food production.
Thank you, Secretary and Commissioners, for visiting us here in our region today. When we have more time, I'd love to take you out to see some of our great farms and wineries in the region. It's an honor to present to you today. We're going to talk about how our robust food and ag sector is growing and will continue to grow in the future. We do have a robust sector here that starts with world-class research institutions like RIT and Cornell. We have great growers and farmers in our region. We have excellent food manufacturing operations, and we have good distribution that goes directly to the consumers. This year, NYSAES, New York State Ag Experiment Station in Geneva, installed an HPP machine. It's the first HPP validation machine in the country, and it is a new technology that helps food production companies from all around the country safely test their products for pathogens after using HPP process. The machine has a full calendar and a backlog of customers already, and it's helped companies like Wegmans produce newly introduced products that I'm going to mention in a second, like vegetable purees, yogurts, and other things like orange juice, etc. We have a long list of ag and food companies that have expanded here in the past couple of years because they're part of the ecosystem that's benefited from the URI and the CFAs. For instance, growers like Newstead Ranch, Creers, Craig Station, Integro, and Duncan in Wyoming, Genesee, Orleans, Livingston, and Wayne counties. Food production companies such as Bondwell, DuPont Health and Nutrition, Baldwin Richardson, OFD Foods, Clearwater Organic Farms, all have announced expansion plans here in the last year. And we've have been able to offer them grants from New York that has helped. The governor has recently announced that there are now over 100 wineries and over 100 craft beverage producers in our region, and this is up over 50% just in the last few years. Two very large projects, Hood in Batavia and American Packaging in Rochester, have been announced, and they're well on their way for completion. The investments by these two companies alone is going to be over $400 million and create 600 full-time jobs. I've included samples of 4 other products that I'm going to mention here. And first is brand new cheese from First Light Creamery in Genesee County. And this shows that we can provide an ecosystem that helps small farmers too. I brought out one organic apple. Actually, I have a couple of others. This is grown in Fowler Farms in Wayne County. Virtually 100% of organic apples are grown on the West Coast, but we have developed some of these new varieties, and we've been able to work with these farms, and they're going to be growing organic apples in the East Coast, and we are actually selling them now. We have an Eichhorn rye, which is heritage grain that's grown right in near Penn Yan in Seneca County, and we have produced that in the Wegmans stores. So if there's one thing I want to leave you with here today, and one thing I want you to remember, it's this product here. So this is baby spinach leaf. It's organically grown. 100% of this comes from the West Coast. When we took a look at that, we talked to our consumers, and what do they want? They want locally grown, they want fresher, they want better tasting, they want more nutritious, they want healthier, more sustainable, and more consistent product in our stores. That's not much to ask. They would like lower prices too. So we set out to figure out a solution. So we got together with RIT and Cornell, and we have been working with several different manufacturers and testing research through all of this work, the teams come up with solutions. And next year, Duncan Farms is going to be growing this product in Monroe County during the summer. As you saw from Eastman Business Park video, Clearwater Organic Farms is going to be growing it indoors year-round. And the That's hydroponically. And the package was designed, that will be used by RIT. The products will be actually a better product, and that's been developed by Cornell. And American Packaging is actually going to produce the package right here in Monroe County. Pride Pack is going to be taking the product and putting it into the package in Orleans County, a new facility there. And what I want to tell you is the 4 companies that I've mentioned have all gotten CFA awards, and they have been supporting Cornell and RIT through this. Danny Wegman keeps saying, well, where is our part of that? But we're part of it, and we're going to be able to generate a brand new system that will be growing organic spinach here on the East Coast.
Need to turn it over
Okay,
to
thank you.
Jason. I know you could talk about food all day long. We all could. Jason.
Thank you very much. You know, it's hard doing this in a few minutes. It's really hard sitting next to Bill with all this food next to me and lunch coming, so I'll do the best I can. Madam Secretary, Commissioners, Director Stratton, thank you so much for the opportunity. You know, Friday was a big day for us in the city of Batavia, with Governor Cuomo coming to town.
Congratulations.
Thank you, thank you.
Did they tell you the night before?
I'm sorry?
Did they tell you the night before?
Yes, yes. A lot of prep work, but it was a great day. It was a great day for the city of Batavia and the residents of that community, a great day for Genesee County and the region, and really brought together for us the collaboration and the hard work we've had over the past decade to really make Batavia a great place to be. And from another aspect of it, if you go back real quick 1 second, Vinny, if you look on our slide, one thing it really does for us is it really brings that vision of 100 million I'm all in together. And what that is for us, in the springtime, the city council and the community really engaged and said, you know what, we want to set a vision out there. Over the next 5 years, by 2022, we want to achieve $100 million of investment in our community. And everything that we do, we want to look through the lens of, is this triggering investment, both public and private investment? So for us, this really is that beginning step to achieving that. So it was really a big step for us in the right direction. You know, as we began to put together our resources and what we wanted to do, what strategies do we want to focus on, what do we think is going to make our core and our downtown and our community strive and thrive, and we focused on 3 specific strategies: arts, culture, and entertainment. Arts, culture, and entertainment being healthy living, wellness, and prosperity for our arts, culture, and entertainment being really, how do we make that downtown core the place that people want to live, work, and play? How do we make that a place that's going to be fun and enjoyable? And that's what arts, culture, and entertainment bring to the table for that. Healthy living and wellness really builds off of a partnership that is on the verge and will most likely be propelled forward with the DRI. And that's a partnership between our local hospital, United Medical Memorial, as well as the YMCA. And UMMC is part of the Rochester Regional Health System, and they are coming together, partnering their resources, creating an opportunity, and building a joint facility around 50 to 60,000 square feet in our core downtown, and building off of each other and what they can contribute to each other, bringing health facilities downtown, bringing healthy living options downtown, right in the center of our core. And the DRI is going to be a big part of propelling that $20 million project forward. Prosperity for All really feeds on the fact that we have 1 in 3 children living in poverty in the city of Batavia. 2 of our 6 census tracts downtown are considered highly distressed, that being high poverty and high unemployment rates. So bringing those 3 strategies together is really how we intend to target and utilize those funds to best impact and have the greatest impact in our community. If you go back, well, this right here is our downtown. This kind of gives you a little bit of a snapshot of some of the things that are going on in our downtown that we're going to be piggybacking off of, and some of the things that are going to be going on moving forward. I want to just draw your attention to the upper left-hand area there. You see a little red section that says BOA site, our BOA site. Our BOA site is one of 12 that have been designated by the Department of State in the state of New York as a designated BOA site. Right now in the works is Ellicott Station. It's a $17 million redevelopment project. Bringing housing, bringing a microbrewery, bringing entertainment, bringing also 20,000 square feet of commercial space, and it's redeveloping a current brownfield site in our downtown, and this is in our DRI area. What's also nice, and you'll also hear more about this of what they're doing in Rochester, is the developer, Severino Companies, has an established practice of taking local folks in the community that need training, that need skill sets, trains them, has them work on the project, and now they have skill sets to move on and accelerate their life and bring more to their family. And you're going to hear about that later in the tour, I believe, at lunch in one of the breweries here in Rochester. So it's a great opportunity for us. If you look down the lower right-hand corner, you'll see the other BOA site, which is our Healthy Living Campus. That's the partnership with UMMC and the YMCA. Again, our target area, which is our Batavia Business Improvement District, is within our BOA area, so all of it has the potential to have what we think is a catalytic impact to our downtown and our community. This last slide is just to show you how we're doing on our $100 million. Now, we just started this initiative in April. We have 3 categories: completed, in progress, and planned. Right now, in the queue, we have $51 million worth of investment and about 432 temporary construction jobs. Completed, meaning projects that have completed, both public and private, are roughly about 2.1. In progress are ones that are on their way to being completed, which is about roughly 18 million. And obviously planned are ones that are out there, haven't quite made the step into progress, meaning they don't have the building permit issued, but they're out on their way there. And when they do, we'll gladly move them into the in progress category. This is how we're tracking our 100 million to see how we can achieve, not just achieve that goal in 5 years, we just don't want to achieve it, we want to exceed it. So thank you for the opportunity. I look forward to your questions.
Thank you. And I will just wrap up by saying, I think you've seen that we have taken the state's investment and made the very most of it. From our cities to our farms, we are really moving the Finger Lakes forward, and we would welcome all of your questions.
Good job. Let's give them an applause. Thank you so much. So can we start with you, Roanne?
Sure.
Go down the...
Yeah. Well, first of all, I'm glad to be back here. I want to thank Joel and Danny for their past service. Obviously, they did a yeoman's work for the Finger Lakes, but Ann and Bob, I'm sure you're going to do the same in the future, and Mayor and Bill, and it's great to be here and back here in the Finger Lakes, and we're always impressed with what you present for us. I'm going to ask Bill to talk more about food. We're all foodies, come on. So the Ag and Food Processing Cluster has been a consistent area of growth, and I'm gonna actually quote Danny Wegman, who said that he believed that it could double or even triple the food output in this area. I'm sure you're moving towards that, but you've described a lot of different things that the state has invested. What more can we do to see that growth, not only in the Finger Lakes area, but move out into more of Western New York? My agency works with farmers for farm-to-school programs, making sure that the schools are getting fresh produce, because as you said, your customers look for that, but so do the parents of our students. They're always looking for, where does the food come that our children are eating? Everybody's aware of that now, I believe, for a lot of reasons. So do you think there's more the state can do to grow this outside of, the Finger Lakes, but also here in the Finger Lakes area?
And Bill, you might want to also highlight the Food Link project, which is directly responsive to the food and schools.
I was
Yeah.
at the Food Link
Yes,
program
excellent.
the last time we toured
Yeah.
here. So,
Yeah.
yes, we work with the Food Link program in our program.
Fantastic. I could spend the rest of the
I know
time
you
on
could,
that,
but
so
they're not
I'll
gonna
have to
let
be
you.
careful
Bill,
about how many different things I want to talk about.
They're not gonna let you or me dominate this.
I'm sorry. So let me just mention, you already know about Food Link, so why don't I talk directly to a couple of different things that I think are really important. One is that we do see a great potential for growth, even though there's been an investment of about $1 billion just in the last 2 years in ag and food. And we're projecting 2,500 people, additional jobs here. So what can we do? Perfect question, and there has been a CFA URI put in for what's called New York Food and Ag Competition. And we would love to see that. That's we've collaborated with Central New York and Southern Tier, and we're going to pattern this after the 76 West Clean Energy Program that the Southern Tier has put together. This is going to be a competition that will focus on ag and food. Wegmans and Cornell are going to partner on this. We're going to put together a boot camp for all the people that want to come in and apply for this competition. We will rotate it between the 3 regions. It's a great collaboration, and Cornell is going to spearhead this. So that would be be a wonderful project that we could, will.
That would cross regions.
It's a tri-regional program, and it will develop, help develop the system here, and we will get so much marketing and emphasis for entrepreneurs that it would be fantastic to
Right.
potentially put that forward. I know that New York City schools already have a program where they have food from New York State every Thursdays. That's fantastic. I saw the governor just talked about encouraging more school systems to buy locally grown or New York State grown products. I think that those are wonderful programs as well, and we'll continue to encourage those.
And I will tell you, if you see that small group of dedicated young people in that New York City program, it's unbelievable what they get accomplished. And really, the commitment from the city school district is very important down in the city.
They've
'Cause
done a
you
great
have
job there.
You have a procurement officer that is dedicated to that Thursday, so it's
Yeah.
great. Thank you
Thank
for
you.
your response.
Brian? Brian?
Thank you, Secretary. Dr. Kress and Lieutenant Governor Duffy, we are so tremendously impressed by this tremendous work that you're doing. Every time I have the opportunity to come back to the Finger Lakes region and Rochester, it doesn't feel like work because it's such a great place to be. Now, our canal system, which spreads all over upstate New York, 524 miles, some 230 communities. This is the sweet spot. It is really here where everything's going on. $400 million in tourism spending along the canal and the Canalway Trail. $6.3 billion in non-tourism use for agriculture, manufacturing, shipping, even water for the world-famous Oak Hill Country Club comes from the New York State Canal System. So it is a tremendous economic engine, and forgive me for getting this shameless plug in here for the canal system. But that's my job, and nowhere in our state do I think the canal touches more areas of what you have laid out before us and what you're working on here in the Finger Lakes region. So congratulations. Those of us who live in the capital region and in Albany can only dream of the day when we might have Wegmans serving us. There's no one here from the Golub Corporation, is there? I might get in trouble for saying that. But Bill, thank you for that tremendous presentation, and we love the lettuce and all of the products that you have put out there. I would like to talk about the DRI and to congratulate our village mayor, city manager for your tremendous designation. I will also tell, as long as I'm talking about canals, let everyone know that there are several DRIs throughout the state: Batavia, Geneva, Glens Falls, Oswego, and Rome. And what do they all have in common? The New York State Canal System runs through. So that may be one thing that you are looking for. But my question is, thank you for that clap. Thank you. Downtown revitalization, of course, is a priority across the state, and like many areas of our state, the Finger Lakes has many opportunities to look at making our cities and our downtown areas hotbeds for workable, livable development. And beyond Batavia, what is it that you look for as the critical mass within these areas to focus on new opportunities for downtown investment to make them livable?
I think there's multiple approaches we look at. One of the things that we've identified is important is quality of life. People who live downtown, it's important that they live, proximity to work is important, but quality of life and what are the amenities they have available to them in your downtown or within, other than driving distance, or other modes of transportation other than driving. One of the things we've seen a lot of interest in, and one of our assets in our community is we have about 60 acres of parkland, about 6 or 7 different parks throughout the city, two being primarily right downtown. That is a huge asset that we feel. The other thing that we have an asset is in partnership with our town of Batavia, which is around us. They received a TAP grant just last year, which will be establishing and constructing the Ellicott Trail. The Ellicott Trail is going to be a pedestrian path that's going to cut through from one end of the city to the other, going right through the heart of the downtown. It's going to be going right on the backside of that Ellicott Station project, the Brownfield project I mentioned earlier. And our goal from that is really to spur out from there is other small trails throughout the city. You know, Rochester particularly has done a wonderful job of really bringing bike paths to the community, pedestrian paths to the community. I just noticed, I happen to teach up at the Metro Center, I teach a graduate class, and I noticed right in front of there, they have a new bike rental station, which was new this year. Those types of quality of life amenities are incredibly important. And it ties into also the rural areas that we have in the city, right around the city. You know, we're very much a believer in Genesee County that it's just not the city's the primary focus. We have a great cooperation with all the jurisdictions around us. And I think the goal is to really take that trail and have it distribute out throughout the out parts of the county and connect into the Erie Canal Trail and connect into the trail into Avon to the west of us. So those are one of the amenities that we focus on. The other elements that we focus on, and it's really a key driver and a key focus for the Business Improvement District, is what type of events and activities are going on in your downtown. How do we, and this partners also with the arts and culture piece to it. They've really focused on bringing some of the life and different types of festivals. So one of the big success stories is the Wine Walk that just took place last Saturday. Wine Walk, they've had to limit the amount of tickets they have, but I think they're up to 600 or 800 tickets, where you're bringing 600 to 800 people going through 20 to 25 businesses in the downtown on a Saturday. That's an event that draws a lot of attention to bring out people in from outside the community. On the family side of things, the Business Improvement District has family nights, has movie nights where you're getting families into the downtown. Every Friday is Jackson in the Square. Jackson Square is a square that's been redeveloped, painted. You've got murals on the walls, and you have live bands there every Friday night for 12 Fridays in a row. That's part of the quality of life amenities that we're trying to focus on that are not always easy to quantify, but bring real quality to the experience in our downtown.
I was very happy to hear, you know, it's not just about the $10 million, but what you're going to do to, you know, leverage that into a $100 million investment. That's fantastic.
You know, that $100 million goal is something we put out there as lofty. You know, the city has had $100 million of investment, but it was done over 10 years, and we want to do it in 5.
Good.
So.
Great. Commissioner Reardon.
Thank you. So it's a great presentation, and I congratulate all of you. It's very exciting to be here, to hear your progress, and to hear your future. Of course, I want to talk to you about workforce. It is something that I am passionate about. Dr. Kress and I have had these conversations before, and I'm very, very impressed with the work that Monroe College has done. You've identified optical technicians as an area, and we talk a lot about, in workforce development in general, we talk about middle skills, and it's a nebulous term. So it's post-secondary, not a 4-year college education. What are we talking about? And I'm curious, how have you drilled down and identified those skills? What are those skills? Sometimes we get trapped in talking about the job title. That's just the title. It's not the skill itself. So I know you've done a lot of work. Could you tell me what you've done and how you've quantified this?
Sure, absolutely. And let me take a very specific project as an example, and I'll use Clearwater Organics. So when Clearwater Organics first started talking about coming to our community, they wanted to know, would there be a workforce here to support that? And so they were having discussions with Monroe County. Monroe County brought us directly to the table so that our subject matter experts, faculty in agriculture, faculty in what is effectively a manufacturing discipline, could sit down at the table and say, okay, let's set aside degrees, let's set aside certificates. What exactly are you looking for in a workforce? Describe those skill sets. And then we took those skill sets and we literally mapped them to our curriculum. So maybe what we do is we take these 4 courses, and if we can put a group of individuals through these courses in which those skill sets are embedded, then they're employable. And so that's that customizable training training is something that we've been focusing on. Significantly, then the county committed to funding that training. So from that grew a much larger project that we have launched with Monroe County called Ladders Up. And it engages Monroe County, Imagine Monroe, the IDA. It also engages human services so that individuals who might be moving into assistance can be directed to training programs. The county is also providing some childcare funding to support parents through this training, because the whole goal is to keep individuals from falling back into poverty and to give them valuable skill sets, recognizing that increasingly those skill sets may not come with a diploma, may not come with a degree. They're what the industry needs at that moment. And because of that commitment, Clearwater Organics was very comfortable coming to Rochester, and we continue to do that with employer after employer. That, to me, is the true pathway out of prosperity, is meeting people where they are, giving them the skill sets that they need, and connecting them then immediately to jobs that are there.
Right.
And that's what we want to do.
That's great, thank you. And as Roanne was saying earlier, to be able to spread this kind of approach is really critical, because it's the number one thing I hear around the state is where's the trained workforce that I need, not the trained workforce that somebody else imagined.
Right.
So the customizable part of it. When they get the training, do they get any kind of certificate? Is it stackable? Is it something that they can? Because that's so
Yes.
important.
It is, absolutely. You know, one of the great things about this facility is it's the first time that our Economic Development and Workforce Services arm has been downtown. And so we really are honing in to make sure that folks get these, what we call stackable credentials, that then they can leverage to future education. We're talking about it right now in healthcare. There's a huge demand for entry-level positions like medical scribes and phlebotomists. But if an individual were to go, say, to a proprietary institution and just get that training, they don't have a credential that they can move forward. Instead, what they'll have is 4 to 6 college credit hours or 6 to 12 college credit hours that can advance them toward a year-long certificate, a 2-year degree, can help them then move on and transfer once they've built up their own personal and social and financial capital, so that they can continue to advance. That's central to this. Otherwise, you don't have a pathway to prosperity. You just have an entry-level dead-end job.
Right, and I would assume one last thing, and you're working closely with the mayor on the poverty reduction, introducing the people, connecting them to the programs.
Absolutely, and I know the mayor has long had Operation Transformation Rochester and many programs that I don't know if you want to speak to around poverty reduction and connecting individuals to employment.
Well, right now, the Rochester Anti-Poverty Initiative have a number of programs that they're working on. One is adult mentoring, where they're actually mentoring adults and mapping out their lives and having them achieve goals. And they are reaching the number that they need, and we're concentrating that in a specific area. Another thing that they're looking at is early childhood support for families. We understand that the best way to help children is to make sure that their parents have access to quality jobs. And so the partnership with MCC, but on a lower level, people that have just dropped out of high school or need support and maybe not at a place where they are ready to go to MCC. We're doing programs like YAMTEP, which you'll hear about from Tyrone Reeves this afternoon, but also Operation Transformation Rochester. We've had a program, Rejob, that was in partnership with the EPA, where we train people in environmental service jobs, where they are actually working with companies that are going in and cleaning out asbestos and other environmentally unsafe products. And these programs have been very, very successful. Many people that go through them, they are excited about the fact that they are able to not only take care of themselves, but take care of their families. And so the support of the state of New York has been very, very important to each of these particular programs, because it's really about changing people's lives, person by person, but also family by family. Because if you're able to save one person in a family, you're able to transform the entire family.
Thank you. So many times people say that poverty reduction is a job. I say, no, that's the thing you aim at, but it's not even the first thing you do. So thank you both. Those are great answers.
Thank you. Could you talk a little bit about what you're doing in the region to help those people reentering the workforce, like post-incarceration or veterans? And also, what are some of the initiatives or some of the things you're doing to help kind of retain the college students, right, to keep them up here, keep them from coming to New York City?
They can come to visit.
So I will start that, and I think certainly as the chamber president, you have thoughts on it as well. But so let me start with what we're doing to help, I'm going to call them non-traditional students, and sometimes they're hard to place workers. So the Finger Lakes region has a project called Inspire that actually goes across MCC, Finger Lakes Community College and Genesee Community College. And it is specifically targeted at returning veterans, at hard-to-place workers, at displaced workers, your non-traditional student. It is a federally funded program, and I should say this region's colleges are one of just, I think, a handful that received this funding. It's $6 million over 5 years, and it fully funds non-credit and credit certificate training that's directly linked to jobs. And the entire market is exactly the individuals you're talking about. But we also recognize that when those students begin college, even if their tuition is paid for, they bring a lot of other challenges that need to be addressed. So I can speak obviously most knowledgeably about MCC, but transportation is a basic need. So we've partnered with the Regional Transit Service around free bus service for our students to and from college, but also we have an organization that's part of a national group called Single Stop, which is an access to benefits platform. It's very prominent in the city. And RTS has provided free bus passes for us to distribute through Single Stop so that our students can go to work, can go to childcare, and can go anywhere. We also have micro-grant programs because we know that there are financial emergencies, maybe sometimes as little as $50 that will knock a student off course. We have targeted programming for minority males, recognizing that across the country, their participation in and success in higher education is not mapping to the broader levels. So we are very conscious of that, all of those programs that link together. And I'll just say, in fact, we have at this institution redesigned our entire way of delivering academic programs to make sure that we can focus on cohort-based learning for all students. It has proven so successful for us that the state, through SUNY, has provided us with a grant to roll it out to 10 additional community colleges. So we're beginning to scale this initiative. That's important. And then once those students finish MCC and go out to work or go on to RIT or U of R, then we know that we have a chamber and we have GRE in this community that are cultivating, sustaining, and maintaining businesses to make sure they stay here.
I think the mayor weigh in quick. I'm going to follow up on something.
So we also partner with Center for Employment Opportunity. The state actually has given them a social impact bond. They're probably, I think, the only organization or not-for-profit in the state that has a social impact bond given by the state of New York. And they actually employ individuals that return home from prison. They go into the prison before the person is being released to set them up with benefits as well as employment afterwards. The city of Rochester also partners with our not-for-profit organizations to actually put people to work that have returned home to our community by cleaning up different neighborhoods. We do this because we want them to build a relationship and be able to build a relationship not only with their families but also with the community, but also to build a track record of employment. And so every day they come into different neighborhoods, they clean up our major corridors by picking up trash, and then they are actually paid for those services. And that is and we hope that that's the stair step to now going into another program like YAMTEP or OTR or ReJob, and then after that going to MCC. And so we're creating this stairway out of poverty, or the pathways to prosperity as we talk about, but it's really getting those people as soon as they get out of prison, making sure that they're connected to services, but also to the opportunity to make a decision not to return back to the streets to do the same thing that they did in the past.
I would just add, we have 1,300 members. We have companies that are looking for a workforce constantly. We have a staffing business as part of our chamber services, and every day our hallways are filled and waiting rooms with people applying for jobs. I just will come in at a little bit different angle. I think the workforce development programs, reentry, we have a lot of programs. The one thing that we have is we have an awful lot of open jobs now that we cannot fill. And I think we look at the poverty numbers and the open jobs. I think we have to look at filling a disconnect. One suggestion, I'll make two, is really looking at drilling down the results of programs like workforce development. I think Ann has done a tremendous job at MCC really targeting jobs now and jobs for the future. But looking at what areas are we really impacting? I'd almost would suggest the state look at a change with state education. I think we have to start early on with children, having some age-appropriate work areas that just think about the work habits. Training, issues that sometimes we take for granted. It could be generational. We can't take for granted. We have employers every day that say, I don't care about degrees. If I can get somebody to come to work every day, come on time, come prepared to work, come ready to work with people and learn, they're hired. And so I think we are probably missing an awful lot with these children and not reinforcing certain habits and skills. And it could be, I went to a forum with manufacturing last summer, and a manufacturing leader said, start in the 4th grade. I'm not an educator, so I can't say what grade is appropriate, but with all the issues of education in terms of the systems for elementary and secondary education, I think we have to take a step back and look at how can we better prepare these children for careers. You cannot change a life with an 8-hour soft skills program. And I think that's where we fail. We go through, we check off the list, and those folks that go out, they want to work. We have job fairs filled with people. They want to work, but there is a disconnect getting into those jobs, and I think we can do a better job, and it's all about changing some of the current systems in place.
And I'll just quickly add, I think 2 investments that the state has made are making a real difference. One is the Pathways in Technology Early College High School program. And then, which I know that the state is going to launch another round of. That's been incredibly impactful for city school students. The other is the investment that the state made in the Hillside Work Scholarship Connection program here, because part of that is a youth employment training program that gets exactly to the issues that Bob raised around not just the soft skills, here's your one seminar, but getting to them to the point where they are employable and employers want to retain them.
Roberta.
I am very sorry. I actually have to go open a job fair in Niagara Falls. But thank you very much. And I completely support what you said, Bob. That is the soul of it, because we have to get to kids early so that they know what a career is, what a job means, and how they can be a part of that.
Thanks, Mitch. Thank you.
Thank you.
Ryan, do you have another question?
Thank you, Madam Secretary, but I will yield to
No, go ahead.
to Commissioner
Oh,
DeStito,
all right.
because this is your first day. So go ahead.
OGS does a lot of things, and we have a we certify veteran-owned businesses. And you've done a great job, and I think you touched upon it with the Secretary's question. But we really want to encourage veteran businesses and entrepreneurial skills in that area, because we realize that the veterans that have come home after serving our country have one of the highest unemployment rates. And yes, we can get them into jobs, but we also recognize that they have skills that they come home with, and encouraging them to use those skills in maybe their own business in an entrepreneurial way. You've done a lot. How can we help, or is there any more that you think you can do in this region?
I'll start, and I'm sure there's some interest across the panel in addressing this as well. One of the challenges that we see, frankly, is that for individuals leaving the armed forces, there is not a standard way of providing credit, if you will, to some of their experiences. So it's an institution by
Another state
institution
education
basis. Yes.
department.
So that would be enormously helpful. I know there have been states that, for example, will look at a certain career and say this is worth 10 college credits within the University of Wisconsin system or the University of Michigan system. If we were to have that sort of guidance, it would actually standardize things and make it so much easier for veterans to know when they come to our institutions what is awaiting them. The other is certainly that because of their experiences in service, many of our veterans are returning with challenges. And they need services that we're not right now funded to provide, whether it's mental health or adjustment services. Increasing number of them, because of the miracles of modern medicine, are coming back significantly physically disabled. So we need to be able to be funded to support those students, because we know everything that they're bringing is so incredibly valuable to a future workforce, but that we have this obligation and this responsibility because they have served our country, and we should be serving them.
Right down the line, I think there's a great cognizance in our business community about hiring veterans and supporting veteran businesses. Our Veterans Outreach Center is a pretty large center. We partner with them
You're
constantly.
one of
we're-
the prime examples
Yep.
with your Veterans Outreach Center.
And they're terrific, but I think we could do more. I think there's more we can do, but I think everybody I've talked to they actually ask for any talent that are veterans sometimes, and so there's a
We
great
have a
cognizance.
certified list online at the OGS, so if you do have businesses that want to do business with a veteran-owned business, we certify them at OGS, and that list is online at our OGS website. So if you want to pass that on to the private sector, Bob, that would be great.
We'll do that.
Yeah,
Wonderful.
because we encourage them.
As Bob has indicated, we have a great partnership with the Veterans Outreach Center. Rochester is one of the very few communities in the country that has a functional zero status for veterans homelessness. And we're very, very proud of that.
Very good.
Um,
That's very good.
Thank you. We also have the Center for Urban Entrepreneurship, which you will go and visit later, which is in partnership or a part of RIT. And those veterans that would like to start their own business, we refer them over to the Center for
Right.
Urban Entrepreneurship, who will help them build a business plan, also find funding through different parts of the community. We have a number of community agencies that receive funding from the different banks, like Pathstones or Ibero, that help veterans start to get support. We also have a program at the city called Kiva Rochester, which is a crowdfunding program, which is a national program, and some veterans have actually taken advantage of that loan program as well. So we are trying our best to make sure that we are as good to our veterans as they have been as good to our country.
Thank you, Mayor.
Thank you. So I just want to take a second, since everybody is bragging about their department. I want to brag about mine. So we have Sarah Kroll is in the back there, and she is the woman in my Department of State who is coordinates the BOAs, and I was really happy to hear that you have several BOAs and are taking advantage of that program. And we're also DRI, which is why we're so proud. I love the part of DOS. The part of my job I love the most is being able to give money to communities and to local governments and to help them, kind of figure out a better way. So you guys have been wonderful. We're done with this portion, and I don't know if any of you have any housekeeping or further instructions.
Those of us who are going on the bus will meet right outside the main entrance, probably in about 10 minutes, and we're right on time, so thank you very much.
Wonderful.
Thank
I
you.
have one more question. Hotel Geneva, was that a location that we saw years ago that is now coming to fruition?
I can't remember if we ever did a tour there, but
Okay.
it's been a historic building that is being.
It is a
refurbished.
historic building.
Yes,
Yes,
absolutely.
we did tour that years ago. Yeah.
You got a better memory than
I know. I don't know.
And I want to have first dibs on the apple. I'm just putting it out there.
They're coming too, don't worry.
Oh, they are?
Yes.
Thank you very
Thank
much.
you.